Okay, just a bit of advice for conservatives who think they're trying to help or think they're helping. Don't. Just don't. We know after years of hearing you try to speak out of both sides of your mouth and parsing your words that you pretend that you don't hate the queer community, but you still keep doing things that kind of tell us that you do. And case in point, this week, Florida State Rep Jeff Holcomb, he said the quiet part out loud during a debate on the State House floor regarding Florida's State Measure 1382. And here, I'll just let him speak for himself.
ISIS, the Taliban, and Al Qaeda. Those are the folks who discriminate. We bombed a building in 2017 like we never usually do. We bombed it because they threw homosexuals off that building. Our terrorist enemies hate homosexuals more than we do. They're the ones who discriminate.
And there you have it. They hate homosexuals more than we do. State Rep Jeff Holcomb there saying the quiet part out loud. A little bit of background on this State Measure 1382. It is nothing more than virtue signaling by the conservative members of Florida's state legislature, and it has passed both the House and the Senate in Florida, so it will be moving towards Governor DeSantis's desk, and he will most likely sign this and send it to Washington, D.C., because what this is it's literally just it's virtue signaling from Florida. What they're saying is they want the military and the federal government to revisit the policy of don't ask, don't tell. They're saying that this new woke military that we have these days, because people can actually serve out and proud, that it's diminished the effectiveness of our fighting forces. And they also want to revisit the transgender ban that President Trump put into place with an executive order and Biden was able to repeal with an executive order. And the way you know that this is really bad is, I don't know if you're watching closely, but in the background behind Representative Holcomb, there was a female legislator there who, well, you could see when the light went off in her head when she realized exactly what he had said. Here, take a look.
Our terrorist enemies hate homosexuals more than we do. They're the ones who discriminate. Our job in the military, our Navy creed, I'm committed to excellence and fair treatment of all. That's what we learn in boot camp. That's what we drill into ourselves each and every day while we're in boot camp. Please vote up on this bill.
All right, just want to give a shout out to Representative Kelly Skidmore there. The look on her face pretty much says it all. And this brings me to a bigger point I want to make with regards to don't ask, don't tell, which is what this bill is about, and another bill that's like notorious in Florida right now, and that is the Don't Say Gay bill. And that has been expanded from its original only applying to kids through the 4th grade. It now goes all the way through 12th grade, senior year in high school. And the thing is, let's look at don't ask, don't tell first. Study after study has shown us the damaging effects of don't ask, don't tell, from the ridiculous enforcement of the policy, which literally requires someone to ask and you to tell them whether or not you're gay for it to work. So the policy in of itself was flawed because they did ask and people did tell and they were kicked out of the military for it. So on its face, it was being violated just by asking people about their sexual orientation. The other thing is unit cohesion. Part of the military experience is learning to work with a diverse group of individuals. And when somebody in that group is hiding a part of who they are, whether it's because they're gay or lesbian or they bisexual, whether they're hiding a relationship from you or just the fact that they can't talk about, what they did over the weekend at a gay bar. It diminishes the unit cohesion. And when you're working in a group, you need to have those relationships. And most importantly, though, was the mental health effects of don't ask, don't tell. Because service members were forced to live in fear that they could lose their job and their livelihood if they were discovered. And the isolation, fear, and loneliness, that plays into thoughts of suicide. And, gay and lesbian people, the queer community, is 3 to 5 times more likely to have thoughts of suicide or to try to commit suicide. And this living in in a going to a workplace where you're dealing with this overt and covert discrimination, the internalized oppression that you fear and the non-disclosure of your sexual orientation, and having a lack of social support. You can't speak to a therapist in the military about the issues that you're dealing with. It created a huge problem. And lifting the ban, it worked to improve the military and the health and well-being of those enlisted. And that's why I want to tie it to the Don't Say Gay bills that are affecting children in Florida. If you think about it, these are military individuals, adults who had to deal with this policy and the negative effects it had on them. Think about what these don't policies, these don't say gay, don't talk about your life, don't talk about your parents, teachers, you can't talk about your significant other. Think about the effect that has. First of all, how do you enforce this? Are teachers not allowed to talk about same-sex spouses or being trans? Are students not allowed to talk about their own personal experience with their parents who may be in a gay relationship or a queer relationship? It could be trans parents and, the things that kids deal with. How do you enforce that? You're saying you can't talk about your personal life at home, and that leads to the high school version of unit cohesion, trying to fit in. Every kid just wants to fit in. They just want to belong. And when you can't talk about your life, it makes you feel like an outsider. And other kids are going to look at you as an outsider and what's wrong with them. So it does have that effect. And most importantly, regarding mental health, queer individuals are already, as I said, 3 to 5 times more likely to have thoughts of suicide. And these policies will only make that situation worse. And if it was bad for people in the military, adults in the military, think about what it's doing to children. So next time the Republicans say, oh, we're just trying to protect the children, we're just trying to do this, just don't try to help us out anymore. Because in the words of Maya Angelou, when people show you who they are, believe them. We can't trust these people, so just don't try to help us.